Sivaya Nama Thirukeezhkottur. Welcome back to our discussion on the 9th Tirumurai, 10th Thirupathikam and the 6th verse. The verse goes this way, Thirukeezhkottur. ensei தோழி தோழி நீ துணையா இரவு பொம்பகல் வருமாகில் அஞ்சலோ என்னான் ஆழியும் திரையும் அலமருமாறு கண்டாயவன் கிஞ்சுக மணிவாய் அறிவயர் தெருவில் கெழுவு கம்பலை செய்கேழ்கோட்டூர் மஞ்சணி மணியம்பலவவு என்று மயங்குவன் மாலயம் பொழுதே. Thirukeezhkottur. Today's verse is a very detailed, or in other words we have to say, this has been the concept of Saiva Siddhantam has been encapsulated in this particular verse. If you look at it, it talks about two stages, which is called as complete darkness and the other one is called as bright light. The darkness is depicted as the very initial stage that a soul always goes through, which is called as Kevala Nilai, which means at that point in time the only person or the only thing that will be with us to just hide us from everything is called as Arnavam, which is what we call it as ego, the entanglement. This entanglement was there with us, that's why it is called as a friend. My friend which is Arnavam, has been with me when I was in darkness, which is nothing but Kevala Nilai. Lord Shiva wanted to show us the real bliss state, and he knew that the soul's entire or the end objective of a soul is to be happy and peaceful and in a blissful state. In order for a soul to achieve that, he had to remove us from this Kevalam stage, so he tried to rescue us. He gave this body, the world, all the entertainments that we are going through as of today, and also the feelings that we can possibly enjoy with the help of these things. We call it as Dhanukarana Bhuvana Bhogam. That has been given to us. With this Dhanukarana Bhuvana Bhogam, the soul started to get on to the bright light, which is what we call it as the daylight. Is daylight a pleasure? We all know it is obviously not a pleasure, because we have been going through this vicious cycle of birth and death and so much of a pain, and we are surrounded with so many problems around us. Is anyone having a complete pleasure about this particular life? Obviously no. Now how are we going to get rid of this, or rather how are we going to sustain this pain and get away from this? There is only one way for it, which is we need to get onto a state which is called as the evening state, neither morning, daytime nor night time. This is what we call it as the realization state. During our Kevala Nilai, which is basically our night, darkness, who was with us was the entanglement. During the daytime, we know the entanglement is moving away from us a little bit little by little, which means we all know that Lord Shiva is the only one who can bestow us with happiness and bliss. So we start longing for his words to say, don't worry, I'm there with you. This Lord Shiva, when he is able to give us that consolation, that is when a soul is going to be relieved from this ocean of sorrows, ocean of birth and death. That particular place, the place where we can be liberated from this vicious cycle of birth and death, is called as Thirukeezhkottur Maniyambalam. The moment I see him, the moment I hear his name, my heart is filled with joy. This is what verse number 6 is all about. It is all based on the author's words, and he is expressing his gratitude towards Lord Shiva, who is there in this particular place called as Thirukeezhkottur Maniyambalam. I'll come back again with the next verse very soon. Until then, Sivaya Nama Thirukeezhkottur.